Hello. So we are from Coin Edition. I'm Sneha. And can you give us a background of your company and yourself?
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm Drew Wolfare. I actually have a social platform. I have a YouTube channel. We do some Twitter stuff like that. I actually started on YouTube, kind of going through DeFi projects and stuff like that. Then everybody was like, oh, well, if you're so smart, why don't you do your own? And so I created my own. It was called Wolfare Finance. We successfully launched Wolfare Finance in a bear market, and it was awesome. It sold out in like 17 days. And we do master noting and validator noting. So we own like FTM validators, Chronos validators, stuff like that normal retail investors couldn't afford. And we offered that out to the actual retail community that couldn't afford it or didn't have the technical capabilities to do it. Then once we got through this, I guess, successful launch, one of the other projects in the space reached out to me and he said, hey, I like the way that you did Wolfare Finance, and it was pre-syn. And his name is Larry Haliski. He's my business partner now, my co-founder. And what pre-syn does is we are a wallet transaction security software that stops people from losing their money on cross-chain transactions forevermore. Cryptocurrency guardian angel. So you can only lose your money now due to your own accord. You can't actually lose it by accident once we roll pre-send out.
Okay, that's great. So what are your, as of now, roadmaps going further?
Yeah, so pre-send is actually in launch mode right now. So if anybody wants to, they can pick up an NFT. That is how we are doing the seed funding. So there's two different types of NFTs. There is the institutional, which you have to have $50,000 or more. And then there's the regular retail NFTs, and they're $250 a piece. What those NFTs give you and what they afford to you is, first off, fee-free access to pre-send, because pre-send charges 0.1% of the entire transaction for every single transaction that it protects. So if you send $100, it's going to cost you 10 cents, similar to a gas fee. So it's not really that big of a deal, right? But at the end of the day, you can invest either way, and then also it gives you access to a dividend pool of a portion of pre-send's net income for life, as long as you own the asset, which is the NFT. And so what we're doing right now is we have fully developed our Chrome extension. We actually have a demo on it over at our booth, and it's on the TV. Every time that you come over there, you'll see it. It's on loop about every 30 seconds. So we actually have the Chrome extension developed, and we are building the functionalities right now. That way we can make sure that it actually protects people, because if we say it's going to, it has to. And this should probably be rolled out within the next 2 to 3 weeks, and we just actually launched in August. So our timeline is drastically expedited comparatively to most other software companies in the crypto space. So we're not a year away, we're not 6 months away, we're talking weeks.
Weeks, yeah. Sure. And may I know the challenges that you faced when Wolfare was launched, or the idea as you came up with?
So when Wolfare was launched, we faced some serious challenges, because the day we opened up our NFT launch, the market tanked by 30%. It was right after Terra Luna.
Oh, no.
It was horrible. It was the worst thing I'd ever been through. I was like, this sucks. And then with pre-send, we actually have run into a couple of issues. We're minting on Binance Smart Chain, and then Binance Smart Chain got shut down. You remember that? Like, it was like a week ago, it got hacked for like $500 million. They shut down Binance Smart Chain. So that wasn't awesome. And then we've actually run into a couple of issues during development, stuff that we didn't foresee coming. So one thing that we figured out, and this was through losing my own money, like we tested this ourselves. We actually lost money doing this on purpose, right? To make sure that the functionalities were correct. And everything is built on Ethereum, except for Bitcoin, right? And so if everything's built on Ethereum and everything is a 0x wallet address, then every 0x wallet says that it accepts every 0x asset. We know that's not the case. If you're American, you know that on Coinbase, you cannot bring BNB into the Coinbase exchange, but your wallet will surely let you send it in, and then guess what happens? You lose all of your money, right? So that's essentially one of the obstacles that we faced, was trying to figure out, how do we stop that? Because I think that's why most people probably haven't enlisted this solution and brought it to the market because they haven't figured out how to solve that. We did, and we're about 2 to 3 weeks away, and we are rolling it out on MetaMask first, and it's going to be a Chrome extension. And then we are also rolling it out and to go into Coinbase, because those are the largest market shares and the largest, I guess, we'll call them contributors to people losing money.
Yeah, okay. So as we know that October is also called Uptober,
Yep.
because the market goes up,
Yep.
and it is also infamous for the most number of DeFi hacks.
Yep.
Now, since you are into the space, what are your views on DeFi hacks in general, and how do you plan to kind of stay away from it, if not like keep yourself super protected?
100%. So we actually have like one of the best devs ever. He's a Silicon Valley level dev, so he's worked like everywhere. And I can't really say one of the places on camera because he technically still works there, so we can't make him affiliated with that. But let's just say he's worked at Facebook, Twitch, Airbnb, stuff like that. And so he's about as high level as you can possibly be. And he's the one that handles all of our security. So we're in good hands. And then any smart contracts and stuff like that we have will obviously be audited by several different auditing companies, not some random one that you've never heard of either. We're talking like the best ones in the market. So
you are in
Yeah.
the same best.
Our entire business as a software is all about security. So
And you'll
if we
hire
don't-
the best men for it.
yeah, and if we don't take it serious, we're not going to get taken serious.
Yeah.
So
Sure.
yeah.
Okay, so now that we have survived this year, thankfully, with the crypto winter around us, and we are approaching 2023. So, what do you think will the market be like?
I don't see it going up anytime soon. And the reason I say that is because this market seems very cyclical. I've been in this market since about 2013, 2014, right? This is the third bear market that I've seen. And I know a lot of people probably think I'm really young and they're like, you haven't been in it that long. I'm 33 years old. I'm married. I have a wife and a 9-year-old child. So let's just get that out of the way, because a lot of people think I'm 22 years old for some reason. So I've been through 3 different bear markets, and it seems to be coming every 4 years. The last one was 2018, the one before that, 2014. And so my guess is we are going to hit a bull run sometime in the 2024 to 2025 range. We will probably be in this lull for, in my opinion, at least another 6 months until we shed to about 10K, maybe 8K potentially. And it could go down further if everything is playing out and the economy plays out, because I know everybody thinks that crypto and the traditional financial institutions and markets are not linked, but they absolutely are. And every time negative CPI comes out, crypto gets murdered. Every time GDP comes out negative, crypto gets murdered. Recession, murdered. So I honestly don't see it being that great for quite a while, probably another year or so. And if we can get down to the bottom sooner rather than later in terms of hitting that 10K to 15K range, I think the trajectory will start to go up. But if we keep capitulating in this 20K range, it's just prolonging the inevitable.
So, now that you spoke about the decentralization and the regulation part of it, let me ask you a couple of regulation-based questions.
Yeah.
So, US is now implementing crypto tax, as it would on any goods that's for the commodity usage goods. Do you think that's fair to put tax on crypto as a commodity good, or what are your views on it?
I mean, I think they have to classify it one way or the other. So it's like, I don't necessarily think that, because that's more of like a business tax, right? So if you're taxing via commodities, you're taxing businesses. For regular people, they just get taxed at whatever their personal tax rate is, whether it's short-term or long-term gains, right? So I think for the end user, it doesn't change. Like the retail investor, the person that's just trading crypto, I don't think anything changes. But for businesses, I mean, at the end of the day, they're going to have to classify it one way or another. And is it fair for them to classify it as a commodity right now? I don't necessarily think so. But is it fair for you to have to pay taxes on the profits that you make in the United States? Potentially, because we have to pay taxes on pretty much everything anyways. But there's ways to get around that by incorporating outside of the United States. So if people really want to get around that regulation, they can.
And what are your views on the CBDC, the Central Bank of Digital Currency?
Central Bank of Digital Currency? I think that's really weird. You know, when we're talking about a decentralized space.
That's like a topic to get in there.
Yeah, I think it's a really weird concept. It's like, oh, decentralization. By the way, centralized digital bank. What? So it's kind of, that's a weird topic because at the end of the day, I think centralization doesn't necessarily need to be banking, right? I think to stop nefarious parties, there has to be some type of regulation, there has to be some type of law, there has to be some type of like punishment for people that are bad actors, right? But does that necessarily mean that we need a central banking system for Bitcoin? No, that was the whole premise of it, was for it not to be centralized, right? To spread that wealth around and spread that network around. It's just like if I have a website, right? Which obviously I have multiple of them. I don't just have one server, right? I have servers in 185 different countries. That way, if a DDoS attack comes in, boom, there's no single point of failure. With the central bank, that is a single point of failure. So I don't necessarily think it's a positive thing, but they're gonna do what they do.
Anyway, they're gonna do it anyway. Okay, now I know this is another controversial topic to touch, but so Zuckerberg, Meta, they stepped their foot into the metaverse, and the Horizons world didn't turn up as expected or as people wanted it to be. So, any comments on that?
Honestly, I think that's just how the space is going to go. Like, once things start popping off and people are making money hand over fist, right and left, and they see all these regular people making millions, hundreds of millions, even sometimes billions of dollars, right? The larger corporations, they start to take notice, right? And they're like, oh, you're making billions? Let's log this down. We'll make the billions, because why do you get to make billions? We're gonna go ahead and do this. So honestly, I think it's kind of a let's jump on whatever's trending type deal. And I think whatever the next trend is, I'm sure they'll jump on that as well. But I don't necessarily see it as being a bad thing. I think competition breeds innovation. And if they fail and others don't, then I think it gives even more clout to the people that are actually doing it right, and making that their entire business, right? Because that's the thing about these large corporations. They have so many different, they have their fingers in so many different things, right? There's so many different pies that they're trying to be a part of, that if there's companies out here that are focused and they're in one thing and one thing only, I think they're going to outperform the large corporations that are in everything anyway.
For sure, for sure. Okay, so now that El Salvador was at least planning to serve as an example to the world by adopting Bitcoin as the national currency, but failing, that's a different question altogether. So at least they made this move to adopt crypto as their national currency. So do you think that in the future there'll be a time where fiat can be replaced by crypto, or fiat is here gonna stay here forever?
I mean, honestly, I think fiat can be replaced by crypto pretty easily, to be honest with you, as long as it's like kind of a deflationary asset. The oldest currency known to mankind, right, is basically gold and commodities, and they've been around for centuries, right, eons even. And so it's like, those haven't gone anywhere, but the dollar has gone. We filed bankruptcy before, right, and had to implement a new dollar. So could it? Yes. Is it going to? Probably not, because they want to keep that sphere of control. So like Nixon, he basically defaulted on all of the national debt, all of the loans to other countries and stuff like that, and then they just created a new dollar. So now, will they make it, instead of maybe making a new dollar, will they make Fed coin? Most likely, because it's easier. But backing it by a physical asset, I think crypto could definitely replace it, but I would say commodities are more likely to back crypto to replace fiat.
So, wrapping up the interview with just one last question. As somebody who has been in the market for pretty long, what would your suggestions or strategies be for the newbies in the market for investing and dipping their toe in the water?
Stop buying at the top. Like, legitimately, no one becomes a millionaire buying during the bull run. Everyone becomes a millionaire buying right now, right? So, and be patient. Don't chase stupid stuff like all these, 800,000% APY protocols that everybody sees come out. Like, if it sounds too good to be true, I promise you that it is. So at the end of the day, my best advice to people is it's absolutely just persevering and being patient. Like, accumulate at levels that you feel comfortable holding long term, and find the coins, projects, the whatever it may be, the assets that you think are actually going to have real use cases. I hate the word utility because it's so overused in this space, right? So I always just say use case, right? What problem are you solving? Is there a legitimate solution? Okay, and is the solution implemented? And how can I benefit from that? So if you find that, you find the next best investment. Look into pre-sin. It's actually solving a real use case. It's a real use case solving a real solution. People are losing money in the cryptocurrency markets. No one's protecting against that. If you want to send Binance to Coinbase, Coinbase doesn't care. They're just not going to credit you your Binance coin, right? And your wallet doesn't care either, because at the end of the day, you're sending the money out. So what do they care? Well, we care. So look for stuff that actually has a real problem that it's fixing, a real use case, and not just the next, oh, we're going to be a billion transaction per second chain. Like, dude, no one cares. So yeah, I would just say accumulate at levels that make sense, hold it long term, and take advantage of the cycles. Because even if you have $10,000 and you accumulate at 10K, and then Bitcoin hits 100K, and you've got altcoins that you accumulated, most likely they're not going to be the 10xers, they're going to be 50xers, right? You just turn your 10K into 500K in like 2-3 years. Where else can you do that, right? Right here. So if you're patient and you do it right, you can actually make a tremendous amount of money. If you do it wrong, you'll lose it all.
Thanks, Drew. It was amazing talking to you, and you gave us quite a lot of insights into the market, which was really grateful for us.
And check out my YouTube channel.
Oh, for sure.
Drew Wolfare. It's literally just my name.